Russia has launched a large-scale counteroffensive in the western Kursk region, an area that has been under Ukrainian control since August. Reports from independent news sources, including Ukraine Pravda, indicated that around 100 Russian soldiers successfully infiltrated Ukrainian-held territory near Sudzha. Ukrainian officer Myroslav Hai confirmed that a large group of saboteurs attempted to breach the Sudzha district through a gas pipeline, but were thwarted by Ukrainian paratroopers who blocked the tunnel exit and eliminated approximately 80% of the invading force. At the same time, pro-Kremlin Telegram channels have claimed that Russian forces have started an assault on Sudzha, the largest town in the Ukrainian-controlled part of the Kursk region. Akhmat Special Forces commander Abi Aludinov described the operation as a large-scale offensive, which he framed as a symbolic action meant to honor International Women's Day, observed that same Saturday. Russian state TV correspondent Ivany Podubny reported that Russian forces had launched a direct assault on Sudzha, with the Russian Defense Ministry confirming that several key villages, including Viktorovka, Nikolai, and Stai, had been recaptured. The reports also indicated that the operation to reclaim the Kursk region was advancing rapidly and might be entering its final phase. According to the Telegraph, up to 10,000 Ukrainian soldiers could now be surrounded. Ukrainian forces in the region are split into two groups, connected by a narrow corridor about 1 kilometer long and under 500 meters wide at its narrowest point. Despite these developments, Ukrainian media outlet RBC Ukraine downplayed the situation, insisting that the situation was not catastrophic and that the reports of encirclement were exaggerated. As spring sets in, Russian forces have made significant territorial gains, while Russian President Vladimir Putin has firmly rejected calls for a complete ceasefire, suggesting that there are still unresolved issues that need to be addressed. Ukrainian spokesperson Vladislav Voloshin reported an uptick in Russian mechanized assaults as the thawing ground made it more suitable for armored operations. In southern Ukraine, Russian forces recently entered the village of Stepov in western Zaporizhzhia, a crucial region. The capture of Stepov could have significant logistical implications for Ukrainian forces, as it controls critical supply routes used by Ukrainian forces to move materials and reinforcements. A Russian official noted that this shift would force Ukraine to use less efficient and longer routes, a change that could have serious strategic consequences for the Ukrainian forces in the region. Meanwhile, in the Kursk region, Russian forces are continuing their advance. After Ukraine staged a counter-invasion last August, which diverted significant Russian resources, Russia has managed to recapture Sudzha as of March 13th. This development has brought Russian forces within striking distance of the Ukrainian border and increased the likelihood that Russia will push further into Ukrainian territory. If Sudzha falls, it would deal a heavy blow to Ukraine's efforts to maintain a foothold in the Kursk region. The city was captured by Ukrainian forces in a surprise move during the early stages of the conflict. But now, 7 months later, its strategic value is evident, and Ukrainian forces are struggling to maintain control. Although some Russian media outlets claim that Sudzha has already fallen, Ukrainian and Russian sources, as well as social media channels, report that fighting is still ongoing. The situation remains fluid, but the outlook for Ukraine holding Sudzha is becoming increasingly grim. The fall of Sudzha, located just 6 miles from the border, would represent a significant shift in the conflict. Its position along vital supply routes and its role as a key operational hub for Ukrainian forces make it a high-value target. The city's capture by Russian forces would likely change the dynamics of the conflict in the region, with Ukrainian forces losing an essential command and control center. In response to the growing Russian presence in the Kursk region, Russia has deployed tens of thousands of its own troops, as well as around 12,000 North Korean soldiers, to push Ukrainian forces out. Although Ukraine has been steadily losing territory in the area, the most significant push came after the United States suspended intelligence support and military aid to Ukraine following a public rift between Ukrainian President Zelensky and US President Donald Trump. This reduction in Western support has added pressure on Ukrainian forces and may shift the balance of power in the region. As the situation continues to develop, the course of the war in the Kursk region and across Ukraine remains uncertain. Both sides are preparing for what could be a decisive few months of fighting, with each seeking to secure key strategic locations and maintain momentum on the battlefield. The next phase of the conflict is likely to be defined by the ongoing struggle for Sudzha and other key towns in the region. While Russian forces continue their offensive in the Kursk region, the battlefield in Donetsk has also intensified. Over the past week, heavy clashes erupted near Avdiivka and Bakhmut, two strategically significant locations that have been the center of months-long fighting. Ukrainian military officials report that Russia has increased its artillery and drone attacks, making territorial gains in the outskirts of Avdiivka. According to Ukrainian sources, Russia has deployed newly trained assault units from Wagner-linked forces alongside regular army battalions in an attempt to overwhelm Ukrainian defenses. However, Ukraine's drone warfare and precision strikes have inflicted serious damage on Russian logistics, slowing down their advance. Meanwhile, reports from Western intelligence sources suggest that Russia is receiving fresh shipments of Iranian drones and North Korean artillery shells, bolstering its long-range attack capabilities. These weapons have been used extensively to target Ukrainian infrastructure, particularly in Kharkiv and Odessa, where energy facilities were struck in recent missile barrages. Ukraine, on the other hand, is reinforcing its defensive lines with newly supplied Western equipment, including additional Leopard 2 tanks and Bradley IFVs from European allies. Kyiv has also signaled that a counteroffensive in the south is still on the table, with military analysts predicting that Zaporizhzhia and Kherson could become key battlegrounds in the coming months. As both sides continue to push for gains, the war appears far from over, with new fronts opening up and international involvement increasing.